What is your advice to that person that's just starting out? Is it to get rid of some of those ideas and go all in on one? Is it to take the two or three? Is it to remove people out of your life first? Is it build the skill set first that you need to have the business maturity that we were talking about?
100% skill set. If you put two things on the fire, like you're gonna overdrive. So more time you spend like thinking of removing things from your plate, the higher level of actions you're gonna take, they're gonna impact your business. If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
You know?
So for someone in the beginning that's just starting out,
Yeah.
they have stuff on their plate. Let's say they do.
Yeah.
Let's say they have all these ideas. Well, I want to do e-commerce. Well, I want to do sales. Well, I want to start this business. I want to start a clothing brand. I just want to be successful, and they have all these ideas in mind.
Yeah.
What is your advice to that person that's just starting out? Is it to get rid of some of those ideas and go all in on one? Is it to take the two or three? Is it to remove people out of your life first? Is it build the skill set first that you need to have the business maturity that we were talking about?
100% skill set.
Skill set.
Yeah. You gotta build that skill set that will move you to understand, like on a subconscious level, what the best business idea is fit for you. Because what you like is not the same thing that I like.
Yeah.
So you put yourself in a situation where like you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna start this, I'm gonna start this, I'm gonna do this, and then you're gonna start seeing all this failure coming in because you haven't built a skill set.
The skill set.
You know what I mean? Like it's all about that. Like yes, when you have the maturity, then you can have like 4, 5, 6 things running around because you have the maturity of building systems. They're gonna work for you, building processes, being super organized. But at the beginning, it's a mess, man. I started with a notepad, right? And like to-do lists, all that kind of stuff. And I transitioned to a project management software, which is the next level. But it took me time to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you have to build the skill set, organizational,
The team.
also building a team. Also like, what's the core skill set that will get you to the results that you want? For example, e-commerce, the number one skill set you need to have at the beginning stage is to know how to do product research. Because if you pick the wrong product, like no matter what you do, you're never gonna have a successful e-commerce business. And if you have to pick the right product, you also have to have the experience and the maturity to see certain things and certain patterns that at the beginning they're very, very tough to identify.
Yes.
You know, does that make sense?
Completely. How important is that maturity side of things?
It's very important. I think it makes probably 80% of your overall success.
80%.
But at the same time, like you gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
You gotta start somewhere. You gotta start making mistakes and